Hello, how are you? My name is Praise Forward. Welcome to another session of Family Strategy. Hmm. How are you doing? I believe that you guys have had a great time. Depending on when you're watching this, today is a Sunday, and I believe that you guys got a desired rest. Well, I'm super excited to be joining you again today. And like I said yesterday, I don't want to do a long session because this is strategy. One of the core things you need to understand that I do so well is that when I sit with my client in strategy, we're able to do the root cause analysis of what they're dealing with, why they're dealing with what they're dealing with, then we can create a framework and a pipeline that can power their beliefs. Over the years, I have helped a whole lot of individuals, couples, and parents achieve their desired objective across various continents. There is no continent of the world I haven't worked with clients right now. One of the most demanded family life strategies, as a matter of fact, pioneered a model that is being used in 21 countries of the world called family systems engineering, which is an alternative to the conventional therapy and coaching methodology that people use, and it's proven to be highly effective. So you might want to work with me. You can get on my bio and check my Calendly, and you can book a session with me. Your life is never going to remain the same. Well, if you have missed any of the sessions I've done in times past, you can go on my YouTube channel, Praise Forward Live, and then you would see a backlog of several. It's almost like you're in a university. And when you go through that, you would see the dexterity with which I analyze issues and I solve your problems. If you're not working with me, I don't know what you're doing exactly. Well, today we're looking at something that excites everyone, right? And that's the subject of sex. Well, what I wanted to do initially was to bring in our sex therapist. We have a sexologist in the team, Wumi Eson, and I'm going to do a special session, night session, where we're going to dissect the subject of sex. She's very, very good. I consider her to be one of the best in the world on this subject. There's nobody Wumi can stand toe to toe with, and she's very good at what she does. However, because this is strategy, I have seen couples, have a very, very terrible sex life. I have seen situations where people are either undersexed or oversexed. I have seen couples in my 25 years of practice who will call their partner at the beginning of the year and say, sex this year is going to be 6 times. Can you pick your dates ahead of time? I have seen all sorts, and you almost will not believe that this is happening in the age and time. I have seen situations where people have never experienced orgasm. People have never been satisfied with their spouses, and they are afraid to tell their spouse that they're not getting the best of the sexual experience. However, one of the things you need to understand is that a lot of the people do not know, that the way sex was introduced to you would affect your sex life. In fact, many people were introduced to sex the wrong way. If you're in my generation, most likely it was Playboy magazine. If you're in America and if you're in Nigeria, most likely is that magazine called Lolly, or what we call Dowda the Sexy Guy, or Naxin. Now, or for some of you, sex was introduced to you through pornography. And you know that the goal of porn is not to teach you sex. The goal of porn is to sell porn. Porn distorts your thinking and reduce a woman to a thing that must be penetrated at all costs. Unfortunately, loads of people are hooked on sex, on porn, and then they're going to get into marriage, with a PhD in pornography. Now, the bad thing about it is that when the partner is not living up to what you've seen on porn, you will feel dissatisfied, and that's why people are hooked on masturbation. Now, you need to understand, for the purpose of this session, that there might be a whole lot of reasons why you're having a sexual challenge. Some people are already frigid before even having the first sexual experience, owing to their religious background and what they've heard about sex. If you grew up in the church where all you heard about sex is that if you have sex, you're going to hellfire. Now, it could trigger an anomaly in your system such that your body naturally repels sex. You can't enjoy sex because there's the law of association. You have associated sin, pain, and shame to sex. And so you don't even understand how to explore your body. I have met women who do not know their erogenous zones. I have met men who don't even understand how to have sex successfully because all they just want to do is to come and then they go snoring. And so, and I also seen people, who say to me, praise, my woman does not give me sex, or my man does not give me sex. I've seen people dealing with erectile dysfunctioning, all sorts of issues that people are dealing with. I must give you full disclosure. When it comes to sex in marriage or sex in I always defer to the professional in my team, because, and that's why when you walk with us, people sometimes say, oh, praise, your price is for VIP. And I say it's because of what you get with us. We try to ensure that we solve your issues within 13 weeks. That's the promise we give to you. And so we have varieties of specialists who work on different aspects of your life, that by the time we're done with you, you will have been totally put together. And that's why I do not agree that people need to spend 7 years in therapy, 8 years in therapy, 9 years in therapy. What exactly are you doing? Right? It's behavioral issue, and there are ways you can accelerate the change, accelerate the situation, and then maybe what we do afterwards is follow up. Are you with me? I met someone who was clinically diagnosed with depression, and then she's been in therapy for 7 years, and then I told her I have a model that can work in 13 weeks. And she told me, Praise, I'll be dead in 13 weeks. Can it work in 13 days? I said, I've never tried it, but since you're desperate, let's try it out. On the 10th day, she fully recovered. She's married right now, and she's doing very well for herself. Now, you need to understand that sex has a code. The code is like when you go to the restaurant. Imagine if you go to the restaurant and then, you're very hungry, and then the waiter comes and then they serve you shawarma or pizza, right? Are you going to go ahead and eat? I'm sure that you're never going to try that. Why? Because you never placed your order. What you wanted to eat might not be what they have offered you. So you don't say thank you because they offered you food, because you're going to pay your money, and that was why you went to the restaurant in the first place. You would have expected for them to ask for your order, for you to place your order, for them to serve the order the way you expected it to be served, and then for you to take a feedback, which is in form of tip that you give at the end of the service. And so we say that sex is a three-course meal: preview, view, and review. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of couples who have never discussed about their sexuality. They've never discussed about their sex life. They've never discussed about money, but they discuss every other thing. And so you need to understand that for the purpose of this session, you just need to stay calm, and then you might want to be honest with your spouse by asking them, if you are doing sex the way they want it. You might want to place ask them to place the order by asking them how will they want it. And when the action is on, you need to be able to communicate by asking, how are you doing? Is there something they would want, something they would prefer? And then after the action, you want to ask, how did I do? What can I improve on? Now, someone is looking at me and saying, oh no, how do you do this kind of thing? Because if you are not satisfying yourself, you're likely going to run into trouble. It's either someone is going to keep quiet and then is going to be doing sex out of duty. The goal of sex is to give pleasure to your partner in marriage. And so, for the purpose of this session, I'm just going to give you 5 tips today that I think can help you. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that sex does not start in the bedroom. The mistake many of us make, especially men, is that you watch your wife go to work, some slave all through work, stress herself, come back home, fix a meal for you, take care of the children's assignment, and then she still has to do her own personal chores, and then she gets to the bedroom and you expect her to be fully ready for sex. Now, the mistake a lot of women make in that wise is, if you're not ready, if you feel tired, you can tell him, oh, can we do this at 4 a.m. Now, never suspend or postpone without giving a future appointment. Now, you will be in your mind, you think that he will be snoring at 4. No, he will be awake at 4. And at 4, you've got to be ready. Now, what I however say is that if you want your wife to be perpetually ready for you, and because there's nobody that's actually perpetually ready, you can take a lot of pressure off them. I do not understand why we zone certain responsibilities to women, especially in this age and time where both of you go to work. Now, some of us come back, before our wives, and then you still do nothing. And so when you come back, why don't you help the children with their assignment? Why don't you maybe do the dishes for the day, or you fix the meal for the day, so that when she's coming, she's very fresh, she eats, and then she's all ready for you. Now, you need to understand that if you are perpetually, deferring to your spouse and doing everything to promote their wellness, to take pressure of them, they will perpetually be ready for you, because what you've done is you have made deposit and then you're eligible for withdrawal. Many of you are doing overdraft because your account is in red, but you keep making withdrawal, and so you are actually, your loan, your credit worthiness is very low right now, because you do not make deposits and you are not even paying back what you owe as at when due. Now, for the purpose of strategy, remember, we want to ensure that we have good sexual wellness experience. So number one, do unexpected act of service, right? If you're the kind of man who do nothing, today is the day to change, right? You want to ensure, look at, observe the things that stress your spouse, and then take the pressure off them. If you are the kind of woman who, put all the entire bill and the worries of the family on your husband, you don't know that that thing can make him lose erection at home, right? And so you want to ensure, you want to encourage them. You want, because when a man is not doing too well, they need a nurse. When they're doing too well, they need a cheerleader. And so you need to nurse them back to life. You don't understand how business is going, how tough things are, because they're literally at the war front. And so he comes home, and then you're placing request upon request. Children are sending the request. Everyone, family members sending requests. That's enough to mess up the psyche of anyone. So do unexpected act of service today. What unexpected act of service are you going to ensure that you do that takes pressure off your spouse? Number two, compliment generously. When was the last time you complimented your spouse for the way they dressed, for the way they cooked, for the way they did things, right? You need to celebrate. Oftentimes we exaggerate the bad and we undermine the good. When they do what is good, we think, well, it's his duty to pay house rent, to pay mortgage. It's his duty, it's a duty to cook, and we never say thank you, right? And so you need to understand that everyone thrives in an atmosphere of appreciation than in an atmosphere of condemnation. So you want to compliment generously, right? And number three, you want to hug often. A lot of people will respond to touch. We know that not everyone responds to touch. That's why you need to familiarize yourself with the love code of your spouse. Do they love touch? Do they love gifts? Do they love words? Do they love quality time? Or do they love active service? You need to figure out their language and make sure you speak their language. And then resolve tension early. If there's anything that's a killer of the sexual mood among couples, it is tension. The fact that we live in unforgiveness and we can forgive ourselves, and we have not mastered the model of de-escalation of issues that happen within us. And so you need to learn to de-escalate. You need to create a framework and a system that ensures that on no account must you guys go 2 days being keeping malice with yourself, right? Issues must be resolved. So you can create a code to say, before we sleep, we will not go to bed without, apologizing for whatever we've done, and then hugging ourselves, because all we have. And you need to understand that you are a team. What makes you drift apart? A whisperer separates the best of friends. And that whispering can be auto-suggestion. When you misinterpret what your spouse is saying, or you are interpreting them the wrong way, in a way that you now feel agitated and feel bad about your spouse, anything that pushes you away from them, it's a product of your interpretation. And your interpretation can either promote your wellness or it can withdraw your wellness. And so you want to resolve every tension early. In fact, you have to create a code to say every 6th hour we must resolve issues. Now, in the family system engineering framework, there's a de-escalation methodology, which we call national codes and symbols. Now, if you have ordered for my family combo, you would have seen it there. It's an entire session, I thought. And if you in that combo, you have the book Unbroken. I also dedicated an entire chapter to that. So if you don't have that, you want to go get it. And number 6, prioritize emotional connection. See, you can you can successfully enjoy sex with someone you don't have emotional connection with. The best sex is when it's mutual, when we both of us are connected, when we are intimacy. That's what they call intimacy. You can literally talk about anything, feel about anything, express love the way you're not ashamed, you're naked, you're not ashamed, and so prioritize emotional connection. Now, you would see that all these things I've talked about, there is no sex style in there at all. Now, if you're that woman or that man who does not understand your erogenous zones, there is what we call sensitive focus. It's an exercise that you need to strip yourself naked and let your partner run their hands from the top of your head to the soles of your feet slowly. At every milestone, let him ask you how you feel, right? You will see how every part of your body makes you feel. And then you can zone in on the ones that put you in an heightened state of emotion, because those might be your erogenous zone. But don't forget tonight, ask them, what order do you want to place? Then when they place the order, you serve the order the way they placed it. And then when it's on, ask them how they're feeling. If they want anything extra, get to know. And at the end of the action, take your report card. I believe if your bedroom improves, your family life will improve, your marital life will improve. But one thing you must not forget, however, is that sex is a form of communication. When communication is broken, it's going to affect your bedroom life. And so I wish you all the best. I want you to know that you can work with me if you want me to help you create a robust family strategy that is second to none, that is transgenerational, because that's what we're doing right now. We help you craft your next 20, 30 years thereabout. Then you can sign up for my Building an Intelligent Family session. It's 9 sessions. It costs $10,000, right? You can spread your payment, but trust me, you are investing for generations unborn. Or you can do the self-paced session, which is the family combo, which is very affordable, $150. It's going to be delivered to you within 72 hours thereabout. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. If you're on Instagram, I appreciate you. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and please, if you want to repeat and replay of this, go on my YouTube channel and subscribe. Praise for life. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'll see you tomorrow, God's willing. Keep loving, keep living, and know that this is the best person you can work with when it comes to your family life, parenting, or your personal life. I celebrate you. Bye-bye.